Wrestling Talk. I'm your host, Luis Rodriguez. And if you listen to my preview, then you know that I'm going to come at this from two different angles, that of a worker and also of a fan of 34 years. So, on this week's episode, I'd like to talk about three things. I'd like to talk about potential legends coming back for WrestleMania to work, i.e., Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'd like to also talk about the potential for Cody Rhodes closing out, defeating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And I'd like to talk about potential WrestleMania matches we might get. So let's jump right in. I'd like to start off with Stone Cold Steve Austin. One thing that I've noticed is that people are looking at last year's WrestleMania and his main event with Kevin Owens, and they're just looking at it as a Legends match. What they don't realize is that was a really great match. They did exactly what they needed to do to get through it. The fans ate it up. I mean, one of the things that I noticed most about that match was the fact that Kevin Owens didn't really hold back. I mean, he was nailing Austin with some good shots. He hit him with some good chops. And they definitely went to it. Austin was also dishing out a lot too, but he did bump around a little bit. I mean, he didn't take legitimate back bumps or anything like that, but he did bump around for Kevin Owens. What I also liked about it was that he decided he was going to do it in Bret Hart style. Now, Bret Hart did have this one match with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. And when he had his match with him, he did it in like regular street clothes. I thought that was great because the last thing we needed to see was Bret Hart going out there with a singlet, not looking like the Bret Hart that we're used to. I think the first thing it would have done is it would have taken everything out of the match. And I know not everybody likes to talk about body shaming or anything like that, but the older you get, you start to let things go. And Bret Hart was recovering from a stroke, so he couldn't really do much. So let's look at it that way. When we looked at Stone Cold Steve Austin, he kind of looked like the ass kicker that we always saw. I mean, he had the cut off jeans, he had the knee pads, he had his Magnum boots, and then his classic Austin 316 shirt. And Kevin Owens, he's the guy who wrestles in, basketball shorts. He does have a singlet under his gear, and he wrestles with a cut off t shirt. I mean, they kind of mesh really well together. I'd like to see Stone Cold Steve Austin possibly come back for another wrestling match, but what I haven't seen anybody talk about is who he would wrestle. So I think, due to the fact that he is one of the biggest heels in the company, I think a great match for Stone Cold Steve Austin would be The Miz. Because if you think about it, The Miz is perfect for a storyline with Stone Cold. He has everything that you would want. He's the glamour, glitz guy who's got the television show. He's got the beautiful wife. He's got the beautiful children. And he is, as they call, like the A-lister. And then you have the working man. I mean, Stone Cold's very clear when he says it. Like, swig a beer for the working man. You know what I mean? That's who he is. He still works on his farm. He still, or his ranch, I should say. He still drives around in his old pickup truck. I mean, he still drinks beer every day with dinner, just like the classic good old American, performer, or I should say just worker. I think the two of them together would actually mesh well. I love the idea that the Miz is able to take something like tiny balls and turn it into a t-shirt. So when I'm thinking about what Stone Cold could do with the what chant and how we can revitalize it with someone like the Miz, it would be perfect. I'd like to hear what other people think. Possibly, if you want to follow me on TikTok, it's at Boricualu. That's BORCUA.LOU 826. And if you want to interact with me, I post videos on there every now and then to talk about my different opinions and takes that I have on professional wrestling. If you've seen any of my videos, then you know that this TikTok was supposed to be posted on the 16th and it wasn't posted until today. Now, I do apologize for that. Work did get in the way. I do have a full time job. I've been doing it for the past 21 years, so I can't just stop what I'm doing, and I also have a couple babies too. So I gotta take care of my boy and my daughter. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is I'd like to talk about Cody Rhodes, and I want to talk about what it means for professional wrestling for a guy like Cody Rhodes to come back and potentially be the future WWE champion. Now, one thing we don't talk about is legacy. No one talks about legacy anymore. And we kind of have that right now in our face with Roman Reigns. But we've never really had family versus family. You see, Cody Rhodes has his dad, Dusty, God rest his soul. And then he's got his brother, Dustin, and himself, and his wife, Brandy. And Roman has the entire bloodline. So, what I would like to see is the son of a plumber and that storyline come to fruition because he's had to work for everything. I mean, he had to quit his job, go start another company, establish himself as a brand new character, just to come back and to be the most over performer at WrestleMania in a WrestleMania that included Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's not forget that. No one got the pop that Cody got. He is the working man's champion. He is the guy that we all love. He's the white meat baby face that we just don't want to do without. And it's very hard to have that white meat baby face that doesn't get boring. What I think is that the company he came from, they enjoy the work shoot motto. So what they did a lot of the times was leak certain things to wrestling pundits out there that make you think that Cody wasn't happy backstage when in reality we don't know what happened. We just know he left and Cody hasn't really spoken out about it. So it's not like we can go off anyone. No one will talk about it. Now if you want to listen to a guy like Meltzer, clearly, Cody wanted to go a certain way with the company, and Tony Khan and the Elite weren't really happy with that style and motto. They started AEW so it could be its own thing, not so it could be WWE 2.0. Um, I think after the whole CM Punk fiasco, I think maybe Cody um, is a little more justified in leaving because he would have been exactly where CM Punk is now. One of the things that you saw was that Punk wasn't able to control himself. Cody did control himself. He asked for his release. He walked away. He did live up to his name and he did perform as a free agent. So I think that's great on him. That right now his run in WWE just makes so much sense for it to be capped off with a WrestleMania moment. What I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see the title be stripped from Roman. I'd like to see it defended at the Elimination Chamber, and I'd like to see Seth Rollins be the new WWE champion. I think that would be the best way to go. And then have Cody Rhodes get the match against Seth Rollins. Now, Seth Rollins can claim himself to be WrestleMania, Mr. WrestleMania 2.0, which he is. No one has had banger after banger after banger like Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. He is the one guy who can lose for 3/4 of the year on pay-per-views and still be as relevant and still be a top guy because he has that Shawn Michaels quality. Shawn was able to lose feud after feud to Batista, to Cena, to Chris Masters, to Kurt Angle, and it didn't matter because he was still the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. That's what we get when we have Seth Rollins. Like Cody Rhodes going out the next night on Monday Night Raw, having like a six-pack challenge or a battle royal of some kind, winning that match would be great. It would just be great because it would give us another way for Cody to get Seth Rollins back. Now, the way we get here which I've kind of skipped over, is Seth needs to cost Cody the Royal Rumble. That is the way it goes. Now, clearly, Triple H is running things. And one of the things Triple H has said in interviews that people don't talk about today is he said this as far back as 15 years ago. Sometimes the solution in front of you is the one that you already know. So what he's saying when he says that is, if Cody winning the Rumble and then going on to WrestleMania and winning the title without any other deviation or storyline is the way to go, and that's what'll keep people happy, then that's the way you go. But if you wanted to throw a little wrinkle in it, you have Cody come back, you have Seth be the guy who stops him from winning the Rumble, and then you have Seth go on to win the title that Cody wants. Then you have Cody then you have more of an added element to this storyline. Then you have Cody get his WrestleMania match, get to wrestle Seth Rollins. He gets to potentially go over on Rollins at WrestleMania. And that's how we close out night one with Cody Rhodes celebrating as our new WWE champion. And also Raw champion, which is very important because without a championship on Monday Night Raw, it's kind of stale. And I believe that one of the mistakes that was made recently was having Seth drop the United States title to Austin Theory because he's not bankable enough. Like, he's just not that bankable. That's not even a word. Bankable. He's not there. I don't look at him as a guy who has the U.S. title and look at that title as the top title on Raw. What I look at it as is I look at it as a mid-card strap. Now, when you see that, it doesn't make that title more relevant to me. But when Seth had it, and then he had those couple of matches, it made that title so important. So it made me think, wow, here we go. This title means as much as what Roman's holding because it's Seth freaking Rollins. So with that, I'd like to jump into my WrestleMania potential matches. One of the matches that I would love to see is I would love to see the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship defended, and I would like it to be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus insert team here. But I think those titles need more relevancy. They need to be out there more. We need to have them. Now, if you want them to wrestle Toxic Attraction, that's fine. I think it would work really well to have them wrestle a potential mix and match team that works. Maybe Raquel and Liv Morgan. Maybe they like their matches that they have, their respect for each other. They both decide that going after the tag titles is the way to go. Then you have the potential to turn Raquel heel at the SmackDown after Mania. I think that would work really well. For the Intercontinental Championship, there were reports this week that came out that we're not going to get Brock Lesnar versus Gunther, which I think is a really good job because the last thing you need is to have them work a minimal program. What you want is you want Gunther and Brock Lesnar to have a lot of time to build towards that match. So I think Gunther needs a little bit more. So what I'm thinking is maybe we get something like Gunther versus Ricochet at WrestleMania in a ladder match. Give us that one-on-one match. You have Ricochet get that special win at WrestleMania. If not, the other way to do it is to have a Raw superstar wrestle Gunther, like a Finn Balor or a Damian Priest, and then you get that title on him because I think that that would be a really great way to get a mid card title off of Gunther and then potentially have him move up the roster to be a future foe for someone like a Roman Reigns, or if Roman decides to drop the strap to possibly Sami Zayn, depending on if that's where they're going. For the United States Championship, I really don't want to see it, but it's clearly going to be Austin Theory versus John Cena. I'm not a big fan. I've never really been a big fan of John Cena. I do appreciate what Austin Theory does in the ring. I'm just not a huge fan of the two of them working. The last couple of matches that Cena's had, they haven't even been on par with such legends as The Rock coming back at Survivor Series, Austin last year, Hogan when he came back for his last run against Triple H, and Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker. I mean, those matches with Hogan were actually decent. They were good matches. Go back and watch them. They're not bad matches. And Cena's matches have not been great. I just think that we're in an era where, yeah, we like seeing him on TV. We like to see him cut a promo, but I don't want to waste Austin Theory's potential WrestleMania moment on someone like John Cena. But I think that's where we're going. I'd also like to see the Judgment Day and the Usos work a long program to cap off at WrestleMania because I think the Judgment Day is the perfect team to slowly but surely pick away everything from the bloodline. So you take the Raw titles away from the bloodline, and then you have possibly Rhea Ripley have a women's title, whether she beats Bianca at WrestleMania, whether Becky beats Bianca before, and then Rhea, or she walks into WrestleMania as the champion, then you would have two titles on that team. And you can do such great things with that because you can have the boys defend it Freebird style, just like the New Day did. Or you can have Cody go have his WrestleMania backlash with Seth Rollins, beat him one last time, move on from that, have Seth move over to SmackDown, and then you have Finn Balor go after the WWE Championship with Cody Rhodes, and that would just be a great feud for the future. But let's stick to WrestleMania here. Hopefully, this podcast takes off and we can have more conversations on potential matches in the future. Another match that I would like to see is I like the potential of Bianca Belair dropping the Raw Women's Championship at Elimination Chamber, possibly to Rhea Ripley or Becky Lynch, and then have Rhea Ripley, no matter what, be in that championship match, whether it be with Bianca or Becky Lynch. I just feel like Rhea Ripley right now is the hottest woman wrestler in the company, and you cannot take that heat away from her. And especially if you have it kind of like a role reversal where Dominic Mysterio is the reason that she wins the championship. Oh my God, the heat she would get. And if he did this against Becky Lynch, my Lord, would that be monster heat? Now, obviously, the reason that I'm saying that this match needs to happen is because we all want to see it. We all want to see, in my opinion, the GOAT I'm sorry. In my opinion, the GOAT Charlotte Flair against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. That's the match we need. It would give Bianca Belair a pay-per-view match with the fourth member of the Horsewomen, have her be able to be the only person to take on all four of them and to possibly defeat all four of the four Horsewomen to solidify herself as the top talent in that division. Clearly, we're going to have a couple of blood feuds, so I see the Street Profits possibly breaking up and having a match with each other at WrestleMania. I think this is a great way to get Montez Ford into his own singles character. We might also get a a, a potential theatrical match with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss versus Karrion Kross and Scarlett. The potential for this match is just there. They are perfect for each other. They clearly Karrion Kross can help Bray Wyatt when it comes to in-ring performance, and Bray Wyatt can help Karrion Kross possibly translate, maybe help him with a little, get the charisma out of him. I think that would be a really good match. But if I'm being honest, as big a fan of Karrion Kross as I am, one of the things that I don't want is to just give WrestleMania moments and WrestleMania matches to guys like him if they're not going to actually get over. It's kind of one of my things about how people translate to the audience at paid live events. So I don't want to see something like that if he can't get himself over in the next couple of weeks. I mean, he's had a lot of time. Look at all of the chances Mustafa Ali has had over the past couple of years to get himself over, and it's finally just like the crowd doesn't care. I'd also like to see something pretty cool like a Dexter Lumis versus Johnny Gargano at WrestleMania. There's just something about that potential match, the two of them breaking up, that I feel would work really well. Or if you don't want to break them up, what I would love to see is Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis versus the Usos for the SmackDown titles. I think that would be a great match as well. Curious, now with the WWE Universal Championship, what do we do? So, one of the things that I have read on multiple reports, whether it be Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp or K100, what I've realized is that possibly The Rock is not coming back to WrestleMania, and that's why we're deviating from that match right now. So if that happens, then clearly the main event of night two of WrestleMania has to be Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. Now, this isn't my idea. This is just what I'm seeing now. But my buddy Tyler, who I talk to about wrestling a lot, he actually sent me this little clip of him saying this because he feels that this is what the crowd wants. And usually around this time, when the crowd wants a specific character to be at the top of the card, it's really hard for the writers and the producers backstage to not give that to them. We got it with Daniel Bryan. We got it with Kofi Kingston. We might possibly have it again with Sami Zayn. No one is more popular right now on SmackDown than Sami Zayn. If this happens, this would be a wonderful cap off to their feud. Clearly, I'm hoping that Monday at well, that's actually tonight, that we get the bloodline turning on Sami Zayn, having him get kicked out at his little trial. But one of the things that I posted on TikTok a while back was that I thought what Roman Reigns and the bloodline did with Paul Heyman was brilliant. I absolutely love the way Paul Heyman was kicked out of the bloodline only to rejoin Brock Lesnar to have Roman have Heyman betray Lesnar. It was such a great story. And what if this whole Sammy getting kicked out of the bloodline is that exact story? Everybody is in on it. Roman's going to kick him out. You think that um, you think Kevin Owens and him are going to go out there and they're going to wrestle possibly for the tag titles, and then boom, Roman gets his final comeuppance on Kevin Owens. Sammy betrays him, rejoins the bloodline, and that was the plan all along. I don't know if this will work anymore because Sammy's just picking up steam and he is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So we'll see what happens here. Clearly, there's one match that I haven't really talked about. I'm very excited about it because personally, one of the superstars is in my all time top five, which is Brock Lesnar. But I think we're pretty sure that we're going to get Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley in their final clash. From my understanding, Brock Lesnar is possibly going to come out tonight during his match and cost him the United States Championship, which would in turn have the Hurt Locker or the Hurt Business come back and beat down on Lesnar and would make Bobby Lashley heel, which has Brock Lesnar as Cowboy Brock going into WrestleMania as a big baby face, Bobby Lashley going in as a heel, and that would be a great way to end their feud as well. Well, I don't want to keep everybody on here too long for my first podcast. Let me know what you think. Clearly, you can find this on Spotify. Thank you so much to Anchor for helping me with this. I don't have any sponsorship or anything, but from what I've realized about the actual Anchor app is that it makes it super easy to post a podcast, and I'm very thankful for that because I am a butcher of 20 years and uh, electronics are not really my thing. I'm hoping to get better and have more microphone, and hopefully the audio sticks out pretty well for you guys. One thing that I would like to end my podcast with is my today in wrestling history. And what I'd like to mention in today in wrestling history, if that's at all possible, is I'd like to talk about that on January 22nd, 1994, the Royal Rumble took place, and we got the co-winners of Bret the Hitman Hart and Lex Luger, who to this day gave me one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. I loved WrestleMania 10 from top to bottom. The opening match, clearly with Bret and Owen, was just an art form presented to us in the ring. I thought Yoko got a good match out of Lex Luger, and clearly we got the first ever televised ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. Well, that about wraps it up with me. I'm your host, Luis Rodriguez. Again, you can find me on TikTok at boricua.lu. That is boricua.lu.